Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local. Okay, David, let's move to you, the third and final item today, which is about the, in your mind, failure of key Google competitors to rank in Google and organically acquire audiences. So what's happening?
Sure. So this sort of came about in my mind based on the story about the Nextdoor favorites that you mentioned. I think it was in one of last week's newsletters where Nextdoor is awarding, I think it was $500 in free ad credit. I mean, it's a nothing award. It wasn't anything that would actually help the business. Good PR ploy from Nextdoor to get mentioned with all this, positive brand association. But at any rate, that story sort of got me thinking, wouldn't these be amazing pages? The, top 10 auto repair shops in Portland, the top 8 Mexican restaurants in the East Bay, those kinds of pages would be absolutely phenomenal to rank in localized search results, which pretty much every business in the Nextdoor ecosystem is going to be related to a localized query. And it just strikes me, I don't think I've ever seen Nextdoor.com rank for a category search in a Google search result. And I would say the same of, we've all talked in the last couple of podcasts about the rise of TikTok and, Google's fear of TikTok stealing users and all of this stuff. And yet it doesn't seem to me that TikTok has any thought of stealing Google users while they are Googling. I've never seen a TikTok URL rank in any kind of Google search result. And perhaps the biggest offender, one that has had the most established market share, and the most consumer usage by far would be Instagram. And was talking about this the other night with a friend at dinner, and just think of the number of categories where Instagram would probably be the absolute most useful, highest engagement type of result. I mean, if I want to see, hotels in Thailand or golf courses in Ireland or those kinds of queries that are very high dollar, very, very competitive travel queries, potentially high dollar value consumer electronics type of queries, all of these things, Instagram should absolutely dominate with curated hashtags and that sort of thing. And they just don't. And there just seems to be a complete failure of very senior leadership at all of these companies to understand that, hey, if you want to, start to increase your market share, particularly at a competitor's expense, you already have all of this incredible domain authority. You just need to be putting together a real SEO strategy. And theoretically, all 3 of those sites should at least be competitive with Yelp, if not outrank them in just about every market for the terms that where their content already exists. They don't even have to go to the effort of creating content. They just need to do a better job of categorizing it and helping Google find it. So,
well, Google itself is trying to index more TikTok videos, but not in the context of local results. Just in a sort of a generic entertainment sort of context.
And my experience with Instagram as a user, not an Instagram user, but as a searcher, for some reason I had to click on something that was Instagram and required login. I can't see anything until I log in.
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
a very annoying experience for somebody who doesn't even remember their login.
Well, so Nextdoor is really the one. I mean, notwithstanding the longevity of Instagram, and sort of TikTok's ascendancy, Nextdoor is really the one that should be doing this. And they did, in fairness to them, they have said publicly that we're investing more in SEO, and they presumably they're aware of the opportunity. But what you're describing, sort of these best of landing pages, I don't know if that's on their radar. But I mean, Yelp,
I haven't seen.
Yeah, you haven't seen it for anything.
Morning. Yeah, exactly. I was just on there this morning, and I'm on the Nextdoor Portland page, and there's not even any categorical links to hardware stores. Or
it's
whatever.
It's a
all
very
of these very
bad
local business types that
It's a very bad user experience. I mean, that was my point. Is that they're trying to promote themselves as a destination for these local business lookups, and it's a really bad user experience. And they've said, the Discover tab is gonna evolve over time. But
I don't want to discover. I don't want to feed. I want a very well structured directory.
Sure. Okay. Same thing. Is that
you can read in less than 5 minutes.
Yes. Exactly. Quick. Best plumbers in Portland. Quick read. They really should they really should be owning more and more local search queries, and they should be diverting people to Nextdoor as a destination, but it's not happening. And
Yep.
maybe they've got some whiteboard which shows a migration to a completely different, more utilitarian UX, but they're just failing right now, and it's kind of depressing to me. Not that I'm a big Nextdoor partisan, but I really think that they have an opportunity which they're not capitalizing on. And
For sure.
I think,
And I'm not a Nextdoor partisan either. In fact, I'm fairly anti-Nextdoor given my previous experience as a user. Just like I actually don't want to be in all of my neighbors' conversations. That said, an alternative to discover new businesses that isn't Yelp and isn't Google
Yep.
business profiles, I would be a huge user of that.
Yep.
So, and Nextdoor has all of this rich content around, the testimony. I don't know what their word for it is, but essentially testimonials of these businesses. I mean, they've got just such deep content.
Yep.
They've already got the taxonomy in terms of businesses claiming themselves and all of that. And they just are doing literally nothing. And in fact, are, shooting themselves in the foot in so many cases with.
Well, this is one of the
local
keys
search.
to their survival over the long term, is really making Nextdoor. I mean, Nextdoor can be a lot of different things, but really making Nextdoor a top of mind, a direct, a branded search destination for these kinds of local home services, but other things as well. I mean, for all the reasons that you said, and because one of my favorite themes is trust, because these other sites are losing trust because of fake reviews, because of all these other anonymity, lack of authenticity, whatever. And Nextdoor has authenticity, comparable to TikTok in a different way. Nextdoor has a lot of authenticity and trust, or at least among some people, that could be leveraged, to use the overused word, but it's mysteriously not taking place right now. So,
well, in closing, if anybody wants information on nitric oxide nasal spray, just let me know.
Brought to you by Novartis.
Use the affiliate code Blumenthal15 to save 20% on your order.
we may make money off of some of these affiliate links down below if you click on them. But we assure you that we're totally independent. There is no conflict of interest.
Well, I do want my friends to not get COVID. So
yes, that's good. It's good to know about. So we'll devote a portion of each new podcast to new medical discoveries and health tips from Dr. Mike.
There we go.
All right. So
thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes, thanks, and see you next week. Yeah.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.